What's up, y'all? AC here for another review, and today I'm reviewing Netflix's latest movie titled Project Power, which is directed by Henry Jost and Ariel Schulman. Now, I gotta say that I'm not familiar with either of these directors, but they always work on projects together. I believe that the most popular movie that they have to their name is Paranormal 3, which I never saw. They also have other movies within their filmography that are pretty low quality, so I was pretty scared going into this movie because I wasn't hearing great things, but I wasn't hearing anything necessarily bad. What initially excited me about it was all the actors they had. They had Jamie Foxx, who's one of my favorite actors in Hollywood, and they also had Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's also another actor I admire a lot. But when I saw Machine Gun Kelly, I got a little nervous. The premise of this movie is that there's these drugs that are introduced to these dealers in New Orleans that, when taken, they give people superhuman abilities, which is a pretty cool idea. So I was wondering where this movie would go with it, and it was just pretty decent. I don't necessarily think they fleshed out the idea as well as they could. One part of the film that I was really disappointed in is in the action, because with these drugs that give you abilities, there's no limit to what you can do. It all depends on who you are and how they affect you. So they can do whatever they want with it, and for me, I didn't necessarily feel like they got all that creative. Most of the powers we saw were kind of generic or run-of-the-mill. They had this one dude who was able to break his bones and use them as spikes, which is alright. And then they had invulnerability and superhuman strength, healing, and this one dude who was able to be real flexible. So nothing crazy. And to top it off, the action that was utilized in this movie was pretty disappointing. A lot of it was shaky cam, which doesn't add up for good action scenes at all. I would say that there was only two action scenes that I actually really liked, which was the chase scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. There was this character who was able to camouflage himself, so as he was running, he was blending in with his surroundings, so the only thing that gave him away was his bags. Although, there was this really weird part during that chase scene where he opened the bags that he had and they sprayed at him, which didn't make any sense to me. There was no setup for that, so I was kind of wondering why his bags were spraying at him, but it never got explained. Anywho, that scene was pretty cool, and then that's when we first see Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character's powers, which he was invulnerable and he was super strong as well, and that was fine. He caught the criminal and he started beating him. And then the other action scene that I thought was really well done was another Joseph Gordon-Levitt fight when he was going up against a character who's kind of able to stretch or break his bones. The fight itself was just alright. I more so just liked how it concluded with Joseph Gordon-Levitt stretching out his limbs and closing it within the door. I just thought it was pretty funny. Other than that though, the action scenes were just okay. There was one action scene that really pissed me off, which was the one where Jamie Foxx's character found the big bad guy and he confronted him, and all his henchmen were trying to stop Jamie's character. Instead of the movie actually showing us the whole fight scene, instead they just focused on this girl whose powers were slowly killing her, which was a complete waste of a scene. Now, for the story, I'd say that it was pretty decent. There was nothing that crazy or well done about it. I thought that they tried to do a bit much. There was only 3 characters that were focused on, but all 3 of them kind of had their own story. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character was a cop who was trying to keep his job and just do his job well. And then there was Jamie Foxx's character who was ex-military and he was trying to get his daughter back. We had Robin, who she was just a dealer who worked with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, who, while not a bad character, she just felt unneeded. Also, besides her feeling unneeded, she had a strange relationship with Jamie Foxx. The movie tried to paint them as being really close to each other, but there was nothing necessarily that gave me the impression that they had as tight as an emotional connection as they did. There were a few parts in the film where Jamie confused her with his own daughter, so I could see why his character may have been attached to her, as he just saw her as a memory or reflection of his own. But for her, I didn't really understand why she felt such a connection with him, so I thought that was just a bit strange. Other than that, I have nothing else to really critique about the story. I just thought that it was pretty generic as a whole. The villains were not standout, and the characters were just fine. I'd say that my favorite character was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's one. I thought that he was pretty funny at certain points. My favorite scene in the whole film is actually with him. It's this part where he is trying to protect Robin's mom, so he pretends to be her boyfriend or something. It was a pretty good scene. I think it's the most enjoyable one throughout the whole film. And technically, the film was solid. The camera work was okay, and the graphics were alright. I will say that the CGI was kind of bad when this villain took a pill and it blew him up. It just looked like really poorly done or really cheap. And like I said, the camera work was cool. Although at certain parts, the movie really reminded me of a TV show movie or something like that. But nothing glaringly bad about the technical stuff. So I would say that it was just okay. Overall, it's a decent movie. And if you're looking for just something to watch that's new on Netflix, this one's just good to pass the time. My rating for this one would be, it's alright. Please subscribe, drop a like, and have a good one.